Oh man. You can now add up to 3 guests to your broadcast. I've never seen this before. We get out of here. Stings? What does that say? I don't even know. Let's see what happens. All right. We have switched the format. As you guys know, I was talking about that last season. And the format is that we have moved it to the actual Coffee Breaks fan page. So I've never gone live on here before, but it's our first time. It is season 2. It is brand new. Welcome to Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. I'm glad you're here. I always say that, even though I can't see you, I know you're there. Thanks for being here. We are live from Los Angeles today, as you know. That's where we do the show at. And today, our guest, I can barely even contain myself. I'm like shaking and nervous, and I've never been like that, which is so crazy. And because our guest today is Daniel Roebuck. Like when I'm asked, who do I want to be like in Hollywood? My answer is Daniel Roebuck, man. I mean, the guy gets to do the coolest stuff. He's done all of the best things, and he's a fan, and he collects monster stuff. Like, I'm telling you, like, the guy is like my career idol. So I'm so excited to have him on the show today. Thank you for producer Warren Madden for making this happen. I really appreciate you. I also got a new chair this week, and I am sliding around the room slightly, but that'll be okay. Moving on, let's talk about some things. So you guys know, before we bring our guest, again, the illustrious Daniel Roebuck, it is Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. Let's have some coffee. We're using the Ouija mug today because our guest is a fabulous, like I said, monster collector. So that's good coffee. Fully loaded and ready for battle today. So the nice thing is that you guys know that I'm a working actor. Of course, I'm not a Daniel Roebuck working actor, but you guys know I'm doing my thing. And one of the things I've been doing, I've been busy auditioning and training, a lot of that. I've been really like working super hard. And a lot of people go, why are you training? Why are you training? And I got to tell you, man, it's like being in the Olympics to try to be in Hollywood. So I have to constantly train, just like any Olympian. So training and auditioning, and I'm feeling really good about my work. And I landed, which I wanted to talk about a little bit, this ambassadorship. And a lot of people have asked me about that. So that's why I want to talk about it a little tiny bit on the show today. I'm not going to talk too long today. We got to get to Handsome History, and we definitely want to get to our guest, the most important part of our show, of course, today, Daniel Roebuck. But I wanted to show you this shirt I'm wearing. And it's by 1,000 Miles Global, and they are my new sponsor, and which is really cool. They a lot of people on Instagram and stuff, they get offered ambassadorships, and they're usually phony. They usually come with some kind of attachment. Here's a coupon code. You can have 25% off, and if you wear our stuff, then we'll give you more of whatever. But this isn't that. This actually, they give me clothes, and I wear them, and I tell you guys how cool they are. And the deal is I wanted to tell you kind of how I got that. It wasn't easy. I want you to know that I in order to get like a real sponsorship, first of all, I had to have a lot going for me online. I have to have a lot of presence. I have to have a lot of stuff online going for me there. And what I did was I would take photos in their clothes and tag them in it, and it would pay off. And and I did this for years, and I did this for a long time to try to build relationships with companies. And finally now, this company, 1,000 Miles Global, has offered me a real sponsorship where I get their clothes, and they're going to do a feature on me on their page about my acting career. So shout out to them for that. So I wanted to let you guys know that that's going well for me. The ambassadorship is a legit thing, and I got it from working really hard and throwing myself out there to potentially lure these clothing companies as clients, and it's paid off. So I just want to let you know that's how I did it. It's not it's not one of those Instagram things. It's a legit thing. There's a contract involved and that stuff. So let's move on. Let's talk a little bit. I wanted to talk about something I saw recently, and usually I tell you what's going on with me, but given the fact that we've had a couple of weeks off, I saw so much crazy stuff. But one of the things I saw was this guy that I know in Sacramento. And I want to bring up this river specifically. Well, it's not the Sacramento River, but it was in Auburn in a mountain. And this guy, he decided that he was not going to go the vax route, which is whatever. I don't have an opinion on that on this show. But he decided instead of doing that, he was going to go dip himself in 40-degree mountain water, and that was going to boost his immune system. So there's this video he posted online of him being like, "Oh yeah, who's afraid of a little mist, and who's afraid of a little rain?" And he's out there in this mountain water, like, "Oh yeah, I'm boosting my immune system, and this is the way to do it." And this guy in a kayak comes by, and he goes, "Hey man, are you okay?" And they got all this on the video. The kayak guy. The kayak guy is bundled up, man. And he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was just thinking, dude, what if you saw that? What if you were a kayak guy and you were, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Yo, boost your immune system out here in 40-degree water." I don't know if that's how it's done. I was thinking, what isn't that could technically has a whole bunch of complications. So, which leads me to Handsome History today. So thanks for being here for this portion of Handsome History. This is where I look really cool and tell you some really neat facts. Before we bring on our guest, Daniel Roebuck. So I learned, speaking of questionable decisions, that the Chicago Field Museum has 10 colonies of flesh-eating insects that they use to clean animal bones that they use for display. And I didn't know there was flesh-eating insects. They're beetles, actually. They're not really insects, they're beetles. So they're actually pretty big. And I started to think, what could possibly go wrong with colonies of flesh-eating beetles that are hanging out? And they live and work there. That's how it was described. They work there. And I was like, really? These beetles are like, "Yo, this is what we do." We're like, "Yo, you got a gig?" "Oh yeah, I'm at Chicago Museum." So I thought that might be a pretty bad idea for someone's upcoming film if the flesh-eating bugs from the Chicago Museum got out. The other thing I wanted to tell you before we move on, and this is the second part of Handsome History today, was, I was thinking about this guy again. I got kind of hung up on the fact that this guy went to this 40-degree water to boost his immune system. I'm like, dude, that's not a good idea. But I started to think about, I saw this article and it was about how the inventor of the shopping cart had to actually pay people, decoy shoppers, to push the shopping carts around the stores because people didn't want to use them. People were like, they're cumbersome or whatever, or why do I need a cart, but something we take for granted now, shopping carts, we weren't, as humans, we were resistant to the shopping cart even. And it made me think about my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law used to get paid to stand outside of the ATM and show people how the ATM worked because people were afraid of the ATM. So, I mean, I don't know where I'm really going with that other than, I was thinking about that we're, as people, we're pretty resistant to stuff. We're pretty resistant to change, and I think it's evidenced by what we do. I know that the car was seen as a better alternative to the horse because the horse and what I mean by better, of course it's a better alternative to the horse, but I mean environmentally. They thought that the horse manure everywhere, they didn't know what to do with it. So the car didn't produce any manure. So they thought environmentally that the car was a better environmental move. And there you have it, folks. That's Handsome History this week. We're going to get to our guest, Daniel Roebuck. I'm told he may not know what he's in for, but we're going to see. When it's me, anything can and will happen. So we're going to see what's up. I'm very excited to speak to him today, I got to tell you. So let's see if I can bring him on here. I'm going to try to figure this out. I've never done this from here. That's not it. It might be this. There we go. It doesn't have, I can't really bring him on yet. Let's see. There we go. Whoa, what is that? Wow, there's all kinds of powers on this side I didn't know I could do. That's pretty cool. Let's see if we can find him, and it doesn't look like I can. So Warren, I can't seem to add him here. For some reason, it won't let me invite him. And I usually have a invitation I can send. So perhaps he can, if it shows me him as, okay, wow, he's here and he's not seeing it. Let me see. Yeah, this is the part why I talk about moving the show off Facebook is because it doesn't, for some reason, there he is. Oh, no. Oh, that's where I can ban him. Don't do that. It doesn't say I can add you, Daniel. It shows that I can ban you, but it doesn't show I can add you. I'm not sure what to do about that. Maybe because it's your professional page. It says guest request. I'm not sure how we do that. We got to figure this out, guys. Warren, you got to help me. That's why you're the producer. Uh, yeah, I can't do anything from my side. So, you guys, of course, right? I'm making the illustrious Daniel Roebuck figure out how to get on Facebook. There's got to be a way. It doesn't seem like I can allow him. I keep checking this thing over and over, and I don't know what to do from here. It doesn't seem to. We did the other test. We were able to go on with no problem. I know. In the meantime, what is up? So, in the meantime, I really, I was told today to specifically not have a lot to talk about because obviously, Daniel Roebuck is the reason we're all here. And I specifically kept my monologue extra short today, and now I'm losing viewers. Let me see if I can figure this out. Is there any way we could do this? I don't know. In the meantime, what's up? So what I was going to end my chair. I told you it's a new chair. I'm really not used to it. I sit a lot closer to the wall with the other chair. What am I even doing today? We got to figure this out, guys, because I really want to bring Daniel on. So let me really try to get that going. It's not showing that I can bring him on in any way, shape, or form. What should I do about that? Everybody's on. I see it. That's so funny that I can't bring him on, but I can. Do I need to? That might work. That might work if you do that. As long as you come on in a viewer, for some reason, I can add a viewer, but I don't know why it won't let me. I don't know. I'm really sorry about that, but at least all my nervousness is gone now because anything that can and will happen on the Coffee Breaks Thursdays, forgotten the name of my own show, you guys, the Jason Zlatkus Hour. I forgot. Anything can and will happen on Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. So my wife is always like, you need to edit the shows. You need to edit the shows for this reason, because this happens. And, oh, clearly he knows what to expect. My wife is always like, Jay, you got to edit the shows. Nobody likes the part with the downtime. And usually I have lots to talk about. And the truth is I can talk about a whole lot more. I've got a commercial this week coming up for me. I do a lot of commercials. You guys know that. It's my thing right now. And once I moved to LA, I officially started working on commercials again. And man, I've been hot. Knock wood, I've been hot. And I'm doing one for this Go Pure pod, and you drop it in your water, and it's supposed to make your water all magical and purified and wonderful. So I'm doing that tomorrow. I've been working, and I got invited to a party on Saturday, a studio opening. And so, I'm really feeling my vibe here in LA. You guys always ask me, how do I like LA? And you guys know I'm from San Francisco. So, how do I like LA? Man, I got to tell you, I love it. I love it. It's the best place on earth. And like, I don't know, you probably saw before, but I saw this guy, chasing a Doberman Pinscher on the freeway. And I can't get enough of it. I love stuff like that. I mean, obviously, in Sacramento, we have people dunking themselves in 40-degree rivers. So I'm not going to act like I never saw crazy stuff. But to see a guy chasing his Doberman Pinscher, I also saw somebody in LA just straight doing graffiti without a care in the world in the broad daylight on the overpass. And that to me was not something I had seen in San Francisco. I mean, don't get me wrong. The homeless people in San Francisco has its issues, but Los Angeles has the most, probably whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And that to me is one of my favorite things in the world. I love it. And, of course, I love being here. I mean, the whole reason, people ask me all the time, Jay, you're an actor and, the stuff. And I go, listen, I don't do it for the money. Because if you're at least my experience, if you're an actor for the money, you're probably in the wrong business, So, because there's not a whole lot of money early on. And so, for me, I do it. I'll tell you why I do it. I'm going to be straight up. I do it for the perks. I do it to get to talk to people like Daniel Roebuck. I do it for the perks, man. That's why I do it. That's why I do 12-hour days, and that's why I do the show. And that's the real reason, man. And parties and that kind of stuff. I do it for the perks. All right. So anyway, enough about that. We're going to see if we can get Daniel on the show. It still does not show him here. Probably because it's one of those secret. The man is he's got a lot to protect. He's known. So, and people don't know that what you do on TV isn't necessarily who you really are. So, because again, we're back to the products. A lot of the products that they have me endorsing, I don't actually use, you guys. So, just like anything else. But let me see if I can bring him on again. I did, however, have something else fun to talk about. No, I'm still not seeing him. Daniel Roebuck, our guest. Hang in there, folks. He's coming. We're going to make this happen. One way or the other, we're going to make this happen. If we have to hang up and call again or whatever we have to do, I'm reading the messages here. So, I wanted to talk about something else. I saw this thing. You guys, I don't have a TikTok. I don't have one. Okay, I do, but it has no posts. And there we go. Okay. That also is not coming up. This profile, I see you there, and it won't let me bring you on. It won't let me bring you on. I don't know why. What do I have to do? Yeah, I got that. I got it. It's not showing up. For some reason, it's not coming on. We did this yesterday. Is there a way? How did you guys do it with the joining yesterday? Because, not that I can hear you, but how did you do it yesterday with the joining? Is that a ghost? Because I'm not able to, I don't have that little link button to join. He might have that link button to join.
I think I'm going to try it. Okay. Request to join.
Right. So it's a little green video. It's a little green button. Can I show that on the phone? Yeah. Let's see. This is the best interview I've ever done. Look at this. See, it's a little green button right there. And that's the little join button. I'm not sure if you guys have that. No, other people are going to do it. So anyway, what I was saying while we wait, thanks for your help. My wife, my assistant at home. I'm losing people on this side. I can see you guys are watching, but for some reason it won't let me bring you on. And I don't know why. If you have that little green button, yeah, I'm really not seeing it here, you guys. Maybe we should try again. I have it. You don't want me on. Other people have the weird button. Yeah, see, it shows me them on here, but it does not show Daniel Roebuck or any persona there. I don't know why it, how did you guys do it? But yesterday, let's talk about that. Did you guys get, this is so embarrassing. Did you guys actually connect when you started the call, or did she join in the call partway through? I say a call, but it's a live interview. We didn't see it. Man, you guys, I really appreciate you trying so hard to make this happen. I'm just not seeing it here in my viewers, and I don't know why. I can see everybody who's watching, and it's funny because I can ban you, but I can ban everybody. I don't why Facebook gives me the permission to ban people, but not the permission to add them to the video. That's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. This is why we talked about doing it off platform and all these other things. What do you guys think is the best way to go about this? I mean, that's really what we're talking about here, is how can I make this happen? Is it possible to come in from Tammy's page or something? I don't know how else to do it. I don't know how it was done yesterday. And I thought we had this worked out. You should know how it was done yesterday. Didn't you watch the video? Well, I did. But anyway, back to the TikTok thing. So you guys, I don't have a TikTok, and I've never posted any videos, but I went viral for a project. Yes! Daniel Roebuck wants to be in your video. Enough about me. We are moving on. We got it. Adding. You guys. Who cares about TikTok anyway, and people impersonating me on there? What a joke. We're moving on. And you know what? The nice thing is through all of that, my wife will be like, I told you, Jay, you got to edit the show. And I'll be like, yo, I know, especially with Roebuck. Like, what do you got to do? It says he's coming on. It says he's being added here. And any moment now, he's going to come live. I guess I could get back to the TikTok story. But the point of the TikTok story is there's somebody out there who took my videos and projects I've done and put them on TikTok as me. and went and trademarked my name, Zlatkus. They're at Zlatkus, and their name is Jackson, Zlatkus Jackson, and they're pretending to be me on TikTok, and they're getting tons of followers. And they're getting like, and I'm like, my wife is like, see, Jay, you got to have a TikTok. You got to have a TikTok because someone else is getting followers under your identity, and which is wild to me. It's wild to me that anyone. It's so funny because I'm famous enough. No answer from the live guest. We're going to try again. Daniel, however you did that, we have to try, bring that. There we go. We're going to try this again. We're going to send another invite. Can't bring Roebuck on camera. Come on. Adding. Here we go. We're going to try it again. I'm sending the invite. Anyway, my wife is like, Jay, you got to have a TikTok. Someone's out there as you getting followers. So I probably am going to have a TikTok coming in the future, you guys, because someone out there is getting followers as me, as my last name out there. So that's what my point is. I'm just famous enough that people can rip me off and get, but I'm not famous enough that I can do anything about it. That I don't have the verified check marks or any of that stuff, and I don't even have a presence on TikTok. So you know what I mean? It's one of those things. There's nothing I can do. So anyway, if you see those out there, just support those. We're going to see here. We're getting another invite. Hey. Daniel, however you do, my wife is like, TikTok, someone out there as you getting followers. So I probably am. There you are. Guys, because someone out there is getting. Hey, buddy. Daniel Roebuck, it's great to see you. Oh, man. Thank you for being on Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus.
Jason, isn't it already Friday?
I know you got it might be the actor's life, right? You never know what day it is.
Now for some reason, this is just driving me crazy. So we're on Tammy's phone, and she probably has your thing running somewhere else. So Tammy's gonna fix it.
Okay, yes, sir.
We're hearing unfortunately two conversations. This is terrible.
Okay, so
thank you for everybody who loves it.
Okay, so what if I do this? Is that good? Can't hear me. Can you not hear me, Laura? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
You can't hear me.
I can hear you, Jason. But unfortunately, I think Tammy somehow has two versions of this running. I can hear you and me twice.
Let's see. Okay. I thought maybe there was two invites out there. I am only hearing you once. Oh, he's gone. Maybe we should go back to the headphones. Let's see what happens. Oh. All right, you guys, we're going to try it again. I'm back on the headphones. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but we're going to try it again. Let's see what happens, and hopefully this is going to work. Can't bring Roebuck on camera. Right, that's the... What did it just say? Something about the install the latest app? Are you for real? The person you invited needs to download the latest version of Facebook to join the live room. I've never seen that before, you guys. This is the best interview ever, also the worst. I don't know what to do. Every time I go approve, it says I can't bring you on, Daniel, because it says you have to download a newer version of Facebook. This is the worst platform, you guys. And I don't mean to be bagging on it. It's made me a lot of money. I probably should shut my mouth, but I mean, it connected me with you guys, Daniel Roebuck, and I'm glad you're here. You know, we're gonna do the best we can. We're gonna get through this. So we're gonna try again. You know what? If we have to extend the show, we're gonna extend the show. I know that Daniel's time is valuable, so it's on him whether he wants to still talk to this, you know. And no worries. I give Danny a break. No, absolutely. I'm not on him at all. In fact, it's completely on us as the hosts. We thought we had it figured out yesterday, and it's completely on us. This is not on Danny at all. Every guest has a problem getting on our show, so not a big deal. No, I hope to not reschedule. We can if that's what we need to do, but let's see. Yeah, it's not seeming to work. I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, Warren, is that something we should give Danny a hard time. Actually, this guy, let's see if we can make this happen. I'd like to try to make this work. Okay, we're going to try again. Oh, I apologize to the fans, to Tammy and Daniel, of course, for you guys enduring the hardships that is what we do on Thursdays here. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus, you guys. Hey, you know what it is. It's a good thing that I'm fumbling my way through this. You know, normally, like I said, I don't plan to do a half hour of me, but we're going to try to bring Daniel back on. It says he's adding, which again, you know, if it was adding, it usually comes a lot quicker. I don't know, Daniel, are you seeing the adding button? Like, because it's flashing adding on my side. So, producer Warren Madden taking full responsibility for it not working. However, producer Warren Madden is the whole reason we're here. So we're, you know what I mean, guys, it is what it is. And at least he's willing to reschedule. What am I going to do? I can be nervous and not sleep for a whole nother week. Again, I look forward to that. This morning, I was awake at 5 a.m. and I was all 6 hours till I talked to Danny Roebuck. Oh my gosh. So, you know, it was quite oh man, no answer from the live guest. We are trying again. We're going to give it a couple more tries, guys. If we can't make it happen, we may just do the show separately. We might do it live on a different day. We're going to make this work. We're going to figure it out for you. I know you've been waiting. I know it's been almost a month since you've seen us. And so I really am thankful that you guys are hanging in there. I'm thankful that you joined the Coffee Breaks Thursday page. And, you know, we can, why don't we talk about Danny's favorite roles? We can talk about anything you guys want. Try one more time, please. Let's see. Okay. Oh, there it is. Let's see. I think I can do this. That might work. Okay. It says adding, and we're trying. I don't want to give away too much of the stuff that I have planned. There he is. Let's hope. Joining. All right.
Did it work?
How's the audio?
Is it working?
I can hear
you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Can you not hear me? Let me try something else. How about now? Can you hear me?
I can. Yes, I can hear you. All good. Let's have this interview. I don't know if our viewers noticed, all four of them, that I purposely dressed like you.
I noticed that you dress like me, actually.
It's, you know, it's.
Yeah, I know the Wi-Fi. I can tell by your.
Hey, Jason,
the
can you hear me?
removal.
This is,
I think we need to try a different format.
Jason, I don't know if it's our connection. This is unfortunate. You're talking and I'm talking. I can't hear you. I don't know. I think what we need to do is, I think Facebook is trying desperately to control too much of our lives, and they're having a problem. So why don't you interview me on a different platform, and then we'll share it there.
That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. I agree with you. I can see you, but it's
like
not
this
working.
is not meant to be.
Let's do that. Let's reschedule.
Yeah, it's nice that people are watching, and it's you and I will figure out how to film it and share it, and just put it up.
That's what we're gonna do.
I don't know how we include people. Yeah. All right, but I'm excited to talk to you. And blessed that people are interested, and grateful always to talk about all of the great things happening with the Channel of Peace and everything else.
Yes, and that is on my list to talk to you about, definitely. I told my wife, I go, Channel of Peace is really important. I definitely got to bring that up to you. So let's...
Now listen, now look here. Now it's working.
Okay. Well, do you want to...
See, now this is like, by the way, when you're on the phone, Jason, and you go, I can't hear you, I'm going to hang up. And then all of a sudden you can hear the person. I'm telling you, we need to watch these companies. They're up to no good. I don't care if you call it Facebook or Meta. It's up to no good.
I don't disagree with you there. I definitely, I tell the kids, I go, you know, Zuckerberg's not a good guy, right? You kids know that. You know.
Yeah, just saying that out loud has probably put us both into some partogram rubric in which we will be shot at sunrise. But let's not talk about any of that. What are we here to talk about, Jason?
Let's talk about okay, so let's start with then. Thank you for being here and all your patience. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And that's the last time I'll fanboy. My wife said, Jason, you have to promise not to fanboy. And I that was it.
No, she's wrong. She's wrong. Keep it up. Keep it up.
So,
since I'm dressed like you, I'm going to try to drink every time you drink. Do it
oh my
again.
God, I love it. Ready?
Oh my God, I love it. Go ahead. See what you do, like that Harpo Marx skit.
Man, always working.
So what
always working.
You know, you've got this handful of followers who are dying to know.
Yes.
What's going on? Let's talk.
Okay, about River's Edge. So, and the reason is,
yes, you were talking about the American River.
Yes, because I am from the Bay Area, from San Francisco. Well, I'm not from Sacramento, but I have a lot of friends in Sacramento, and they talk about how that river, they used to go down there and hang out, where you murdered somebody.
Oh, did they poke at it with the stick? Now, by the way, it's funny we're talking about River's Edge. I just my buddy Rob Hampton reminded me that we're now officially deemed a classic because we're on Turner Classic Movies. So River's Edge is on tonight at 9:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. They only use one time zone, so 12:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we could talk about River's Edge, and people could actually go watch it for free tonight on Turner Classic Movies.
And there you go. And so, okay, so to be in a classic movie, I mean, is that like, you know, like when I hear Pearl Jam on the radio and they go, that was classic rock, and I go, oh my God, really? Like,
I'm old. Well, the first thing you're like, as a listener, you're like, oh man, I'm that old. But as a participant, it's even more, you know, with River's Edge, there's something very interesting that I'd like to point out. We shot River's Edge in 1986, I think. I think 86, came out in 87. So we shot River's Edge in 86, which was about 32 years after they did Rebel Without a Cause. Okay. And that was what people said. It was like the new Rebel Without a Cause. Now, since 1986, it's been 34 years. And so now, like, we were James Dean and Natalie Wood, and now I'm actually older than Dennis Hopper was when he did River's Edge. And I can tell you, when he came to the set of River's Edge, we thought he was like Gandalf. You know, he was like, I mean, Dennis Hopper, by the time he got to River's Edge, had lived 7 lifetimes. He had 2 more ahead of him, like a cat. But think of that. Also, can I say one more thing about it? If you look at Rebel Without a Cause and look at River's Edge, they're clearly 2 distinctly different time zones, like with the cars and the dress and the people. If you watch River's Edge today and then you go to Sunland, you're going to see the exact same people as we portrayed in River's Edge. And Sunland, you know, Riverside, California, wherever. That's not an insult. I'm not insulting anybody, please. What I'm saying is they got River's Edge so right that it's become timeless.
right. And so now a guy that tells me that the tree that you were at, or the tree that you sit on, stood there for 10 years after that movie. Like, it became a place people went. Did you know that?
No. How weird.
Right?
How weird.
So
people would go there and be like, woo, 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 woo.
I guess whatever you do where, you know, a murder took place, or alleged murder, that Keanu was like, whoa.
Or a film, a celluloid murder.
Right.
You know, the first celluloid murder of my life was in Cave Girl. I almost killed my career. Thank you. Thank you.
So
when I say I'm here all week, I mean I am here all week.
I told my wife, I go, he was in this movie called Cave Girl, which I guess is like, you know, Ringo's Caveman, only not as good. Like, is it?
Whoa, back off. No. I've seen both movies, and I'd say they're equally atrocious. The difference is Cave Girl was made by a bunch of people who had never been in show business, and Caveman, starring Ringo Starr, was made by a bunch of people who had been in show business for 30 years. So if they're both equally as unwatchable, who really, you know, who suffered?
Right. And I get so much flack for saying that I like Caveman with Ringo because, you know, it was a childhood movie and I liked it. And now I go, oh, I love that.
I'm sorry, this isn't working again. I'm sorry.
So let's move on to another one of my favorite roles, and it's my family's favorite role. You know, I mentioned the River's Edge thing because if I didn't, my Sacramento family would have been really upset about that. But
no. By the way, Sacramento, politics aside, is a fantastic, you know, and I'm not choosing sides of politics. I mean, any place where there's politicians is a cesspool. But the town itself has a great train museum. It has the American River, and it has some really amazing, wonderful people. I do love that part of the state of California.
it's funny that you mentioned the train museum, because the guy who I know who's the biggest River's Edge fan, he built this Lego thing for this train museum just last weekend, and he's watching the show. So I'm sure right there was his moment. So shout out to Wayne.
Oh, good. So everything in his life coincided.
It just happened. Exactly.
In that one
and
second.
he owes me for that,
Yeah.
Wayne. So the other thing is,
Wayne, don't pull out the noose. Like, there's still reason to live. Okay?
So let's talk about my favorite role is obviously Arnst, Leslie Arnst.
You like Lost.
Okay, right, because in my personal opinion is it's the greatest show of all time. I literally think it's the best show that's ever on TV. Now that's just my personal opinion. I know you were on Matlock, and no offense to my grandfather.
I'm not offended. You like Lost. It's not. You don't have to. It's not like you have to say. You know, some of my best friends watch Matlock. You know, we're not in that. I'm not precious. I've never been precious. The only time, let me just say that maybe I get a little bit annoyed is when someone will say, "Oh my gosh, you are so familiar. I know you." And I say, "Oh, where are you from?" And if they don't say Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, or Burbank, California, or now Tampa, Florida, I say, "Oh, maybe you've seen me on TV." And they say, "Oh, no, I don't watch TV." And I think, right, you're that guy who's never ever turned on a television.
Right.
You know, instead of just saying, "Yeah, I watch." Oh, that might be it. But there's some they're embarrassed to say that they watch TV. So I'm not precious. You like Lost more than Matlock. That's fine. You're not.
Well, let me jump ahead to a different question. I'll come back to Arnst.
Wait, hold on. We were just on Lost. Now we're jumping.
No, we're going to come back to Lost. We're not going to forget Lost by any means. No, not at all.
I'm trying to keep track of your thinking, Jason.
Thank you. I know it's tough. I know they tell me I'm an intense dude, but let me. Okay. When you are recognized, and this was on my list of questions, when you are recognized in public, what is the role you mostly get noticed for? Like obviously they go, where have I seen you, like you just said, and the one guy who doesn't watch TV, but what is the role you get recognized for?
Do you know that I can generally tell by the age, sex, or race of a person what they watch. Don't write letters. That's just people have, a category that they enjoy. So what's happened is kind of like, let's say, the actors I emulated. Like, you've been very kind about your respect for me. I respected James Whitmore, and I respected William Wyndham, right? And actors that you had seen. I say those two names. You've seen them in 500 things, and so you just kind of in the miasma of our culture, I've been blessed enough to have touched a number of really, like Lost is for you, The Late Shift is for someone else, The Fugitive is for someone else, Matlock is for someone else. So in the real blessing that God's given me in the life that I've lived is that I have not lived a straight line of a career. I've gone, and in reality, my life is full circle 1,000 times. So if somebody recognizes me, and I can't delineate it first, it's just because they've seen everything. There's been kind of through attrition, I've become a face they recognize.
Right, just over the fact that you've been in Hollywood so long and done so many great projects.
Yeah, so I've done great projects and I've done not so great projects, but I've been consistently on TV or in movies for 37 years. And I mean consistently. That's a blessing. So what does that mean ultimately? Does it make me a genius? No. There's actors greater than me throughout the United States. And I can attest to that because when I make my movies, I find them in other places. I don't find them 100% of the time in New York or Los Angeles. I find a lot of them where we make our Channel of Peace movies, where we've made the last two in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania. And I mean, you know, I don't give people, I give people many different levels of parts, but I give leads away to local people. And there's no way a human being would ever be able to tell the difference between whether they came from LA, New York, or Bethlehem. So that's interesting. So the answer to your question is, I doubt he's watching because he might be taking his second nap of the day, but Dwayne Whitaker, my great friend, off-time collaborator, you know, we were in Hollywood Boulevard once, and these people who were Japanese came out of a store, walked right into us, and they said something in Japanese. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying it was "Hita Daniel Roebuck." And, you know, we shook and we took pictures and you know, we did all that. We walked away, and Dwayne, in his infinite wisdom, said, you know, if there's such a thing as critical mass, we may have just seen it in action. When a person doesn't even speak the language you speak and they know your name, that's an extraordinary leap of kind of recognition.
Right. That is do all actors hope for that moment? Like,
well, let's say, gosh, if that's the moment you hope for,
right.
let's redefine your career goal. You know, because you know, John Hinckley had that moment, and it wasn't for a good reason. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
So I mean, look, it would be disingenuous to somehow say I don't like when people recognize me. Well, when they recognize me, it validates 40 years of my life, you know, and that's positive. That's good. We want to be validated. We want people. Everybody wants to have purpose. So I know that I'm fulfilling my purpose when they recognize me. I stepped off a plane. I went to do a movie called Palau, the movie about a great Luis Palau, a great missionary in South America and a great speaker on behalf of God and Christ. You know, Christ's sacrifice, right? So I literally stepped off a plane in Buenos Aires, walked down the gangplank, stepped into the airport, and a guy said, Daniel Roebuck.
In Argentina.
And you think, in Argentina.
Yeah.
You know, and he had never seen Evita probably, so I don't know. But it's everywhere, you're everywhere. But then as an actor, you're an actor, right? What's frustrating is sometimes they'll say, well, they're giving the part to a name actor. And I say, a name actor? What? The names go away, the faces stay forever.
Right.
And that's a fact.
You know,
that's why I go to these shows where sometimes now, because you know, I'm grandpa and other things, you know, like I'll sign autographs, but I go as a fan too. And those shows are filled with people who were name actors for 3 years. And then that's all it was, you know, because they I don't know, for whatever reason, you know, things didn't work out. That sounds like I'm insulting them. Geez, Louise, that's not my point.
No.
My point is,
I'm familiar with.
You got to stay consistently positive and work toward a goal that's not being a name actor. Work toward a goal that's being a familiar face. How about that?
Right. And so I've heard it called, you know, you're that guy from that thing. When I think there was even a movie or a book or something where.
Well, there's a documentary. The first documentary though was called That Face is Familiar, of which I'm one of the 10 actors that they followed around. Then the other documentary came a little after that. And there's a great book called Character Kings that parts 1 and 2 people could find online. And that's, if you like character actors, it's great because that guy went to people like me, Dwayne Whitaker, Richard Reilly, Clancy Brown, I think, faces that you've seen in everything. So anyway, that's, you know, I've been writing, do you know this, Jason? I've been writing a book called The Audition is the Job and Other Truths That I've Learned in the Land of Make-Believe.
I did not know that. Tell us about that.
And well, so, you know, I've been in hundreds and hundreds of shows. You go to IMDb and it's a bit of a fallacy because maybe that number is 240, 250. I don't know. You know, I do know I have looked recently. But that means 240 titles. It doesn't mean 60 Matlocks, 18 lost or however many, 20 match bridges. I don't keep track. But and we did a show for a channel called Net in Brooklyn. We did 188 separate TV shows about classic movies that we would watch and discuss from a faith point of view. So let's say I've been in not hundreds of movies and TV shows, thousands of movies and TV shows. So if I've been in thousands of movies and TV shows, I've been on 10,000 auditions. You know what I mean? So when it comes to how to audition, let's not listen to the singular opinion of one casting director, one director, well, it's usually a casting director or director who writes these books. Let's listen to a guy who's figured out how to do it. 10,000 times and turn it into 1,000 jobs. That's 1 out of 10.
Which is really good.
That's a pretty good hit.
Yeah, man. That's like I was thinking, man, even like 10%, that's incredible to book that much.
Yeah, and there's times like, as for an actor's life, if you've got actors watching, and I hope there are, when there's an actor, there's been times when God was good and the stars aligned and my head was in the right place, and I was doing 1 out of 2, and that's also has a lot to do with where the business is at a moment in time. It's different now because the business is a little different because, they're casting a different way. They're being very non-traditional in their casting. That's just how it is. So like, what are you going to do? That's how it is.
Right. I know. I feel you. Let's go back to Lost and talk about that. Talked about Dr. Arnst. So there's one specific episode, the episode where Nikki and Paolo die. So that episode, man, I always thought when I'm watching the show, I felt like that episode was added, almost like a bonus. Was that intended? Or was it?
Well, I couldn't even for a moment speak to the motivations of the writers of the show. I would just be a jerk to do so. They were all very, very smart. And perhaps, as happens, sometimes, you're not writing fast enough, or you're changing the trajectory a little, and you need a breather. So that's kind of what you're saying. We used to do it on Matlock. There'd be a clip show we would do once every year. That like the bonus 22nd or 23rd episode would be us sitting around the table saying, "Remember that case where? Hey, remember when you?" And then they clip the other episodes in. So. Yeah, the Nikki Paolo, maybe they introduced those characters and then felt, they're not fitting in the way we want. How do we get rid of them? And I love that it was, it was Arst was such a nut. And he had those bugs. What's the matter with the guy? And then that's the motivation for the death.
So okay, right. So and I didn't mean any disrespect, of course, to the writers.
Nobody's taking it. I'm just saying you don't have to defend yourself. I'm just saying, actors. We always laugh at actors who make more of this than they really have. There's a guy who never works ever, and someone will say, "How do you choose a part?" And he says, "Well, I read a script, and then the wife and I we talk about it, and we see how will it work in the trajectory of my career." And we know that's BS because we're actors. How do you choose a part? I don't choose a part. The part chooses me.
Yeah.
There's very few things I've turned down in 37 years. I could count them on one hand. Things I turned down.
Right. How do I choose a part? I'm offered it. That's not.
Yeah. It's like, why did I do Lost? I made that joke before. I'll say it here. They hired me. I didn't know who I was playing. They just asked me to be on the show. They said, "We kind of wrote this thing for you." And I was like, "Sure." They said, "You'll come. You're going to die in 3 episodes." Great. And they didn't tell me who I was playing or what was happening. And then people say, "Well, how do you take a job without knowing what the character is? You didn't read the script." I say, "I read the plane ticket. It said LAX to Honolulu. What am I, an idiot?"
Right.
That's all I need.
Exactly. And yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't think a lot of people know that as an actor, there's a lot of motivating factors outside of what's written. That of why.
Yeah, there's a lot of motivating factors. I had two kids that I was sending to Catholic school, like I to continue that level of education. And by the way, both my children are extraordinary young people, and I'm very proud of both of them. But no offense to anybody who doesn't believe in it, I would never. I would have actually taken the job scraping the the elephant dung in the circus if it meant keeping my kids happy. That was a main motivation for working as often as I did.
Right. So what I meant was that it seemed like a bonus episode was technically you are not in the show any longer. And that episode, they brought you back for that.
Yeah, they brought me back though for a few rounds. I can't remember how many I did, maybe 8, 7, 8. And then I did the interstitial things that they're putting on the internet. I did 1 or 2 of those, I think. That was always fun.
And the spiders in that scene, are they there? Are they real?
Yeah, no. Well, they probably CGI spiders, but dude, the centipedes and spiders that were around me were real, and I had to hold that centipede. And I'm not joking. That centipede was like, it kept reaching, like, they were like, hold it closer. Why? Like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Squirm, but, the worms went in and they burrow up.
Yeah.
I didn't want any of that.
Man,
I didn't want.
I got hung up on that episode, that Star Trek II, where Khan puts that.
Oh yeah. Oh, the thing in the ear, poor Paul Winfield, and
my God.
No.
Right. When I was a child, that scarred me. I was like, thanks, Mom and Dad. Like,
when I was a child, in I think it was Rodan, someone maybe correct me here if I'm wrong, in Rodan, there's a girl as a spy, maybe it's Destroy All Monsters, I don't remember which one, but a girl's wearing earrings and she's a spy, and they realize that the earrings are recording what they're saying, and they rip the earring out of the girl's ear and you see the blood, and she's like, oh. And to this day, I am not good with earrings. Right. It's very odd, dude. I mean, I will literally, neither of my wives wear earrings when they're around me. I don't know what they do when they're not around me. When I say neither of my wives, I don't have many wives, but I've had.
Neither of my current wives are allowed to wear jewelry. Right.
Yeah. The current wife is excluded. I think the last wife resented it. I don't think this one minds having one less thing to put on in the morning. And,
right.
This wife, by the way, Tammy, that's her, I always say Tammy's my third wife. And she says, I'm your last.
The last wife. Right.
So, so hopefully this is being recorded, because that, I would say, is exhibit A, should anything ever happen to me.
There you go.
I would definitely play this back at her murder.
I heard it called a forever wife. That's
forever wife.
That's your last one is your forever wife, right?
Yeah,
so
that worked out.
So
they've all been great people, but this one's the key.
Now I want to ask you an off subject question. Do you believe in ghosts? Is that?
I don't really know that I believe in ghosts per se. I do believe that there's a lot of things that I don't understand, but that doesn't mean I have to believe in them. It just has to be that I'm open to an understanding that there are things I don't understand.
Sure. So I
that was a politician's
answer. That was a very safe answer. But the reason I know so you worked with Betty White. And I saw this meme where people had put her at the table with the other Golden Girls, and they were sitting around the table, and she was like, oh my God, I have to tell you how crazy the world has gotten. And I thought to myself, man, that's a really nice sentiment. But when I died, I don't necessarily want to go be with my coworkers. And
look, the truth is, you don't want to be with your coworkers when you're alive.
Right.
When we did Matlock, it wasn't like on the weekends Andy would say, Danny, what are we going to do? Let's go to a toy show. No, he went on his boat and I went to my toy show, and that's not because we didn't like each other. Clearly we loved each other, but it's just not how it's normally done. My father, by the way, I never saw any of the people my father worked with. if I didn't bump into him, he worked for the city. If I was driving around and I'd see him, I'd stop, I'd say hi, I'd see his work friend. But we didn't hang out on the weekends. He didn't. What does he want? What do you want to see your work friends?
Right. So then it got me thinking, right? Because I know that if I die, I don't want to. There's no set that I want to go to. But if you had to pick a set that you were going to haunt, what set would that be?
Oh God, what a funny question. You know, that really the greater question is, where would you like to go back to? You know?
Okay, sure.
You know, and I would say, if I could go back, one idea of heaven would be Matlock. You know, we shot that down in Wilmington, North Carolina. We were completely away from Hollywood. We all had jobs, so we weren't nervous about not having jobs, and we were doing work. And I was working with, without a doubt, one of the greatest actors of the last 100 years. And every day of that was like a miracle, you know,
Right.
A miracle. So I don't know that I would haunt it. And, you know, I mean, they'd be all generally haunting it too. But it is a weird thing to think about. If that thing that you're the last guy standing it's a real interesting thing. I mean, you look at a show, you look at the Dick Van Dyke Show. Who would have thought Dick would be the last guy standing? Well, you know, it's a blessing. Golden Girls, that she was the last. Who would have thought it was going to be her? She was older than all of them at the time. Even Estelle Getty, I'll bet, was only in her early 60s when she was playing that part when she started. So if we've watched them on TV in the 60s, that they're still here is a miracle. And so that club that includes Dick Van Dyke, William Shatner, actors like Gene Hackman, Clint Eastwood, we're blessed as all get out. You know, we lost Sidney Poitier.
Mm-hmm.
What a glorious life he had. You know, it's better to, you know, you mourn the loss of a guy, but you can celebrate like the extraordinary impact he had on our popular culture. The same with Dick Van Dyke, Andy Griffith, William Shatner, Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman. They all were impactful. Warren Beatty. You know, we forget Warren Beatty. If Gene Hackman's 91, Warren Beatty's 87, 88. I'm guessing. Somebody can look it up.
Right.
But, you know, and the difference between being a star of that level and being an actor like me, you know, isn't just money. Okay, you know, they have money and they probably know when they're going to work next. But, you know, a lot comes with that. A lot of other extraneous pullings and grabbings and pullings. And so being a guy who's, you know, on the radar, sometimes under, sometimes on, that's a good place to be. It's not a bad place to be.
Right. I feel that. And that's why I always talk about, you know, you're like my role model for acting, because you're right there.
Really?
You know, yeah. So, but
I've noticed that. I
dress like you.
Clearly, your fans. Look, I'm going to turn my head like your head.
I do tilt a little bit when I talk.
You could play me. How tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
Well, we'll put the other. I could bring you into play. You know, my son Buster has been playing me younger in a number of times. I've used him 3 times. He is such a good sport to do it, and he doesn't know what a good actor he is because he's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
But he did ask me the last time. He said, "How about next time I don't play you?"
Right.
And I think that's a reasonable request.
Let's go back to another thing you mentioned was going to toy shows. Now that's something that you and I have in common. Before I was an actor, I was in the toy business.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
are you serious?
No. So I figured this is a good time to show you. But this is me right here.
What? Wait a minute. What?
See, in this issue, Horror Haven. See, and it's Toy Shop Magazine. You remember that?
Well, do I remember it? I was one of the people who had it.
There you go.
When I was on Matlock, Dan, we need you on the set. I'll be right there. You know,
because if you didn't get on it right away, you were going to miss it.
Yeah. You'd call the person right away, and I keep lists for all of my friends since I had at FedEx. I think that was $600 or $700 a year to have at FedEx. What an insane decision! But I got a lot of great stuff.
You're talking about before the internet. You're talking about it was hard to get stuff back then. We had to fight for it.
Yeah.
And so I was on the cover of that. I was on the cover back in 2004, right?
So, take some, when we're done, take pictures of that article. So, and it's about horror stuff?
Yeah. So well, actually, I didn't collect it.
And you said 2004? That was right at the end of it.
You're right. Pretty much my article is what killed it. Is what killed the magazine. But so this was my ad back in the day, and you can see the kind of stuff that's on there. Godzilla, horror,
Yeah.
you know, and we called it cryptoys.com. Yeah. So you can see there's Mothra and there's a chest burster.
Yeah. You had all the stuff like Danny Sirocco would have.
Oh my, I know Danny Sirocco. So
yeah.
So that's crazy. You're talking about God, what was the name of his business? Anyway,
it's shameful that we both can't.
Dimensions. I think he owned Dimensions or something. Dimensional Designs. That's it. Yeah. So yeah, I knew him, man. You know what? That's funny. That guy got me my very first copy of Cannibal Holocaust. Was that?
Well, you should both be put on some kind of FBI watch list.
Right. He gave me that movie, man. It was hard to get back then. And he gave it to me
for a reason,
yeah.
Jason. It was hard to get for a reason.
So
it's kind of like, it's kind of like plutonium is hard to get. They do that so that it doesn't harm people.
Any crazy doctor can get plutonium. We all know that. You just steal it from the Russians. Or the
Hey, let me ask a question.
Yeah.
I watched Terminator 2 yesterday, by the way, because I've been on this John Schlesinger kick. This is the other thing I would say. If you're an actor and you want to be a movie actor, your main goal, aside from acting as often as you can in class or in a play or in short films or whatever, you should be watching great performances in great movies. And Schlesinger, gifted us with 3 movies before he came to America. But once he was in America, we had Midnight Cowboy. He went back and did Sunday Bloody Sunday, which is terrific. And then he did Marathon Man, and then Day of the Locust. Four very entertaining movies. Filled with great performances throughout. Boy, I hate that when you lose your train of thought.
I do it all the time on this show.
Yeah, Cannibal Holocaust. You're talking about Cannibal Holocaust, but and then you talked about it, and I was just thinking, in the form of where we are now, does nobody at Google or Facebook, don't they watch movies like Terminator 2? Don't they know that the more information they give this stupid computer, the more information it has to destroy us? Anyway, I was just thinking that, because it's all like Jim Cameron, very smart guy. He put it all out there back in 1994, 95.
Right. Well, I always tell people, didn't you ever see the documentary where Cuba Gooding Jr. and Dustin Hoffman have to put a helicopter down to stop that monkey virus from killing everybody? Like, didn't you see that documentary? It's all there for everybody,
It's so weird. Anyway,
so let's go back to the toy. Let's go back to the toy thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about one of my favorite things you do. It's one of my favorite things, but Dr. Shocker. Or I'm sorry, or maybe I shouldn't say you do. You know Dr. Shocker. You're friends with him.
Dr. Shocker, yeah. He's I don't generally like to discuss him on my time because he's very mean to me. He says terrible things about my acting. Mostly he's right. That's why it bothers me. But Dr. Shocker is a jerk. That's all I can say. But Dr. Shocker has, there's been talk. That's not a joke. I think about it all the time. I know that somebody is writing, probably him, if I know him, he's such an egomaniac, is writing a Dr. Shocker movie. I think it's time that we had a Dr. Shocker movie.
I think so too. He hasn't had anything since what, 2013? Vault of Horror?
Yeah, Vault of Horror. I do think that with the birth of the new Grandpa Munster, I might have opportunity to introduce other people to that guy, Dr. Shocker. So we'll see. We'll see. I think I think it's a great character. Chuck Williams does a great job as Igor, and it's just a lot of silly fun. But like, not talking about him personally, what I would say is that he and I share, as you do, a love for this this nostalgic, you know, I call us nostalgists. You know, I like what's going on today, but I like what went on before a lot better. I like the movies today, but I would much rather watch Marathon Man than almost anything that I'm not in Netflix. But if I'm in it, I'm sure it's fine. But we're just not doing it the way we used to do it. And if I can bring that back then to the work we're doing at A Channel of Peace, I'm trying to make movies that seem like they're from another time, because I can't be the only nostalgist who misses good storytelling without a pummeling of a point of view. You know, we make faith-based films, but we don't pummel you with the faith. You know, our characters are living an experience through a relationship with a higher power. That's how they get ahead. They don't talk about it all the time. They just do it, you know.
Right. I definitely, I do want to talk about A Channel of Peace. Before we do,
you want to talk more about Dr. Shocker?
Well, I had one more question about Dr. Shocker. Actually, I was moving on, but you reminded me about a question. How much of Dr. Shocker do you think he's influenced by Zachary? Was that anybody?
Oh, yeah, no, Zachary certainly, but actually more importantly, Dr. Shock, who was our Pennsylvania horror host out of Philadelphia.
Dr. Shock, yes.
Was played by a good Polish magician. And I know that, you know, a nice little chubby Polish guy, kind of like Dr. Shocker is. And the truth is that he was probably the greatest influence, and most especially that his name is Dr. Shock, not Dr. Shocker. I mean, Dr. Shocker, not Dr. Shock. Do you know here's a little known fact about Dr. Shocker. He was once the, what do you call it? How else to say it? The sponsor, my son, who's a great athlete, played flag football, which, by the way, I can tell you I've never understood. I don't understand this. Like, you know, if you're not tackling each other, I don't know. But I guess that's part of it. Anyway, one year, his last year playing, I think, before he went to high school, they couldn't find anybody to sponsor the team. And I was like, well, how much does that cost to sponsor the team? It must be thousands of dollars. And they said like $250. And I said, I'll sponsor the team. So the team was named the Shockers.
Nice.
And I said, the only thing I want is I want to pick the jersey colors. And I got a lot of flack from one of the two coaches because I picked black with orange lettering. Well, let me tell you something. They look so great, the Shockers. And then for their team photo, we took a normal team photo, and then we gave them all fangs.
Right.
They took a team photo with fangs.
So you went with Halloween colors. I expected you to say black and gray, more like the colors of Dr. Shocker. But yeah.
No. We went with Halloween.
Right.
You know, I just thought it was joyful to approach it with a different. I mean, you know, it could have been, you know, if our gynecologist had supported him, what would they be called? Like
right.
The Shockers was fun. And anyway, it was just joyful.
Right.
Like, and they did a heck of a job that year. Good kid.
And and I just lost my train of thought because I started thinking about Mitch Pileggi and Shocker and what a great performance that was.
Yeah.
You know?
I auditioned for that job, by the way. I don't think it was to play that. I may have auditioned to play Mitch's part. I remember that Toby Hooper directed that, right?
Yeah. Oh no, it's Wes Craven. It's Wes Craven. Shocker.
Wes
Craven.
Craven. Yeah. Wes Craven. So I went for the meeting, and you know who was there right before me? Who's the lead? I can't. It was a musician who smelled of patchouli.
Nice.
And when I sat where he sat, I had to smell his patchouli. A famous musician, and in this moment, I'm sorry that I can't think.
That could be anyone. It smells like patchouli, and he's a famous musician.
Yeah. I even said to Wes Craven, it smells like patchouli. Maybe I was rather not Shocker-like. I don't know.
Right. Maybe he's like, that's really.
I did a movie with Mitch. Hey, you know, I I had an epiphany this morning as I was preparing to do your talk show. Well, first I was preparing to not do it based on how it was going earlier. But I had an epiphany that I have previously worked with four of the five Herman Munsters. I've worked with personally Fred Gwynn, obviously, in Disorganized Crime, Sam McMurray in a thing I did for my buddy Matt Bennett, Edward Herman in a movie called Double Take, and Jeff Daniel Phillips previously in Halloween 2 and 31. And so isn't that funny that even before becoming grandpa, I had connected with four of those five. John Chuck is the one I didn't connect with, and I keep thinking that he and I share a credit, and I can't that is the problem with a life well lived. You're in things and you don't always meet like I'm in 2 movies with David Warner. We watch time after time. And I'm like, I'm in 2 movies with this great actor and I never met him.
Right. And people don't know that about acting either, that you're in a movie with somebody and I've never met them. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. They go, well, how were they? I don't know.
We didn't shoot on the same day. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to the set, years and years and years ago. I read a biography by Bob Thomas about Walt Disney. And I put it down and I thought, why is Tom Hanks not played Walt Disney? It's the perfect actor at the perfect level of fame, at the perfect physicality. And then like 6 years later, they made Saving Mr. Banks, and they cast him as Walt Disney. And I was like, wait a minute, I put that up.
Right.
That's my work. So I luckily I work enough. I got onto the Disney lot when they were shooting, and the first person when I go to the set, because we're shooting on the lot, was Paul Giamatti, who goes, "Oh my God, Dan Roebuck, oh my God." No, we were in Don Coscarelli's movie, John Dies in the End, a great movie, and we had never met, but we had both seen the movie. He's great in it. I think I did an okay job in it. And so we had this little love fest before we even, hey Jay, before we even got to watch him. So he was like, "Oh my God, so what am I doing here?" I told him the story. We watched him shoot a scene, and then he goes, "Hey man, Tom's coming for the next scene. Let's go wait for him." And I also knew John Donahue, who was Tom's stand-in. So we all walked over there, and Tom comes around the corner, and there he is. And there he is. He's Walt Disney, just as I thought of it. Like, I thought. So we came, we met. John was very gracious to take a picture of the 3 of us. People might be able to find it online if they put our 4 names or 3 names into a search. But Giamatti says to Tom, "Hey Tom, you got this part because Dan thought it up." And Tom was like, "Oh, I'd be very interested to hear that story." So I told him about how I read the book and I cast him in my brain, and then this happened. So maybe that's a good lesson for actors. If you're positive, you don't just have an effect on your own life. You might have an effect on a movie star's life too.
That's remarkable. To hear.
Yeah, I don't want people to think I really.
Dan, can you imagine? I can't even imagine. Daniel Roebuck is like, "Yo, I had an effect on Tom Hanks' life," and he calls him a movie star. You're a movie star, dude. Like,
Tom Hanks is the movie star.
Okay. The movie star is Tom Hanks. You're right.
Yeah, a movie, and then of the other 1,000 people who are movie stars, I'm one of them. But he is the movie star. The guy can do no wrong.
You're right. And you know what is so funny? I once had this therapist, and I've never told this story to anyone other than my wife, but I once had this therapist and I said to her, "Listen, as an actor, man, I have all this anxiety. I'm always auditioning and I don't know if I'm good and I got to let it go and all stuff." And she looks at me and she goes, what are you complaining about? What do you think the only actor who doesn't have any problems is Tom? And she didn't even say Hanks. She just said Tom. Tom is the only one who doesn't have problems.
And there might be times that Tom's not happy. I don't know. I think it's good. That moment actually ruined my greatest joke that I ever wrote, because after I had met him, this was the joke that I had before I met him. The joke was this: do you know who hates name dropping?
Who?
I'm asking. Do you know who hates name dropping?
No, who hates name dropping?
My friend Tom Hanks. So now I got to completely rewrite the freaking joke. Do you know, I went from that set, I was doing CSI, and that afternoon, so I was there in the morning, and then, like, this is the great thing about being an actor, is the absurdity of a day like this. In the morning, I was meeting Tom Hanks and seeing him in life of this amazing thing that I had thought up in my brain years earlier. And then I went and I was on CSI with Ted Danson. He was interrogating me that afternoon. So I was at Disney Studio in the morning, at Universal Studio in the afternoon. I went from Tom Hanks to Ted Danson. And so we're just, bullshitting, whatever. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say, I'm trying not to say dirty words. We were yapping before the scene. And I was like, wait, you're like a Malibu guy. You know Tom Hanks, right? Like, I just figured they know. He goes, yeah, he's a friend. I was like, look at this. And he did not know he was playing, some friend you are, Ted. I knew he was playing Walter Green. How did you not know? He was, I remember him looking at my phone going, that's just amazing. He looks just like him.
Yeah.
This is actually, I'm going to stop and think. Another day we had like that was a crazy day. I think this all happened on the same day. I went for a costume fitting for a show at MGM, which was Sony, but it was maybe still MGM. And Andy Griffith was a guest star on that same show, and he was shooting currently. So I went from the costume fitting. They said, Andy's on the show. I was like, are you kidding? So I went over and knocked on his door and talked to Andy Griffith for a few minutes. And then we bumped into somebody who was working on Spider-Man. And so this would be, and I can tell you, it was 2000. I know it was right after it was the day of, it was whatever, November 2nd or 4th of 2000 was the day of that election. So we talked to Andy Griffith, then we bumped into this person and we see the kid who's playing Spider-Man, and they take us around. She goes, you can look at that set in there. And it was the set of a building that he and the Green Goblin were fighting on. So we looked at that. Oh, and then I think it was the same day we walked around the corner, and somebody can check all these dates. This might be 2 days, but a door opened and all the Planet of the Apes came out from the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes, came out of the big sound stage at MGM, which would have been the Munchkin stage, the Munchkin Land stage. So I think that all happened on the same day. And you think, I don't know that life could be better than this. I'm working. I'm talking to an icon. I'm seeing the set of where movie stars are making Spider-Man, and then the apes, they literally walked in. They were standing next to us. We were right in the middle of them. Someone said, okay, that's going to be 20 minutes. Doors open, and all these guys play the Apes faces.
Now, you as a fan, you own one of the Conquest of the Planet of the Apes suits.
I do.
Okay. Yeah,
I had other suits. So, but keeping those kids in Catholic school, I think I said.
It happens to me. You got to move your stuff sometimes. As an actor, sometimes you need a extra dough. What are you gonna do? But okay, so you're as a fan, and they're shooting this Planet of the Apes movie. How are you not going? I need to be in that.
Well, I did make. I made immediate overtures. Nothing. It came of nothing. I had actually bumped into, oddly, because I'm not an idiot. When I wanted to audition, I was told that my face may not be. This is not a joke. They because just like the old Planet of the Apes, they had pre-made. They had A, B, C faces. So the snout fit on you or it didn't. And I was told that my face I think might be too wide. I bumped into Rick Baker who did the makeup.
Yeah.
And I bumped into Rick
Genius.
Baker genius, at one of the makeup shows. And I said, hey, Rick, my God, a quick question for you. And he literally reached over and touched my nose. He said, no, you would fit in the pieces. Like, that's how smart he is. He's not he's the smartest guy in the world. He touched the tip of my nose. He said, no, that's a lie. You would fit in the pieces. So, because I always try to get into things that are things I like. And what's funny is, and then sometimes things come to me, things I like, like the Munsters. I mean, give me a break. It's the perfect.
Okay, so that's the next question, right? Is that let's move to the Munsters because that's obviously I've been saving it to it's obviously the biggest thing. As a fan, like me growing up, I used to watch it. Now you mentioned Pennsylvania a lot. I spent a lot of time back east. My father's from Pennsylvania. My mother's from New Jersey.
Oh.
I spent a lot of time back east, so I used to watch Nickelodeon when I was a kid, and they would have reruns of the Munsters back then.
Oh gosh, isn't that funny when they weren't making enough of their own product? Yeah, they were rerunning old TV shows.
Yeah, way back. And before it wasn't even in LA yet. It wasn't in California yet. They didn't even have that kind of cable here yet. And to be on the Munsters, I always thought, me personally, and it's not to hack the Addams Family, but personally growing up, I always thought the Munsters were way better. Like that.
Well, the Addams Families. Look, the Munsters were direct. The Munsters appealed to, I think, a wider audience because they were sillier. The Addams Family, watch it now, you'll think, God, this is smart stuff. Very cerebral. But by the way, a lot of TV then was 100 times more cerebral than anybody thinks, because you watch Green Acres and it's filled with really smart jokes. Beverly Hillbillies. I mean, all those Paul Henning shows were like, they looked like hillbilly shows, but the things they were saying were really astute social commentaries. And I think the Addams Family just, they were, creepy and ooky and spooky, but they weren't monsters. And we wanted, monsters. And I was, for me personally, the Universal monsters were, I mean, Kevin Burns, who I love and who passed away, was one of he was the greatest proponent of the Munsters, second probably only to Rob Zombie. I mean, like meeting people in Hollywood who got the Munsters, and it was Kevin Burns, Rob Zombie. Nobody loved him more. So Kevin passed away a little more than a year ago. And he was the one who told me, I didn't tell anybody about the Munsters, and I had known about it for for a very long time. Rob asked me to be in it in July of 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a long time to keep the greatest secret of your life. But he gave me permission to tell Kevin because, and Kevin wasn't sick. He just knew, Kevin's a professional person and would not, he would consider the information a professional courtesy and wouldn't tell anybody. So I told Kevin, and he said, you understand, Kevin, if you know me, talked like he's, Nero. You understand, he said, you are now playing Count Dracula in a Universal Studios movie. Like, you are a Universal Studios monster. So that's huge. Not only is it a huge gift, there's a responsibility to it too, I think. Like if you're playing Santa or Elvis, you've got to, give homage to what's come before you.
So let me ask, that was my next question. How much of Al Lewis and his portrayal and, how much of that has influenced you as the character?
Let me say this. I just don't, and I'm not being rude, but I want to be respectful, because the Munsters, Rob Zombie is the standard bearer of how the information comes out for the Munsters, not me. What I would say is, if you've seen me play Gary Marshall, or if you've seen me play Jay Leno, you know that I have a very great regard for what's come before me. So now, I played a lot of characters, and I'm not the first guy to play Grandpa Munster was Al Lewis, but Howard Morton played him, and Robert Morse played him, and Sandy Howard played him, and now I'm playing him. I would say that of the actors that have come before me, none of them had my approach to the character. So that's like a long-winded answer. I want people to discover how I approached it when they see it.
Right, and I guess that's what I was getting at. Did you sort of bring your own approach, but also, like you were saying, you got to stay
Well,
true.
you can't. I mean, I've said this before. You can't get to Grandpa Munster if you're the actor that I am without first looking at Al Lewis. You know, I knew Al Lewis, and I knew Herman, like I knew Fred, and I knew Al. I talked to Karen Lewis, who has a great book out, by the way. If you haven't read it, it's by Karen Lewis. Jay, put it up there so I don't get it wrong. It's My Life Married to a Munster or something like that. Jay will put it in the comments. I see he's on here. He has a great website on Facebook called the Al Lewis Forever on Facebook. He has some other ones too, and he makes great Wolf dolls, by the way. But these are the kind of friends I have, Jason. I got friends who make Wolf dolls.
Yeah.
What kind of friends do you have?
You know, I had a friend who made
Anyway.
Wolf dolls, and we used to sell them on my website. I do have a friend that made Wolf dolls. He was called Bump in the Night Productions.
Oh yeah, but sure. But yeah.
Chuck Jarman.
That's right. He did.
Chuck Jarman made that. Yeah, man. I did.
Yeah, Chuck Jarman did the Dr. Shocker and Igor.
That's right. He
too,
did. Oh my God, I forgot that, man.
Yeah, but hold on. We'll get to Chuck.
We're not going to talk about Chuck. Let's move away from him. Go on.
Let me just get the rest of this thought out. So, the two conversations I've had, one in person over the phone with Karen, and one with Deb Gwynn on the computer, who is Fred's widow. Karen Lewis said, and I think I'm allowed to say this, she said, you know what Al would have said? Al would have said, it's yours now, run with it. And Debbie Gwynn said, this news would have made Fred so happy that you were part of this because he knew how much I loved it, you know, because we talked about it incessantly probably when we were working together back in the 80s. But so there's been a lot of shade thrown at us in this cast. And it's a bit of a head scratcher because you've got the Munsters being made by the greatest lover of the Munsters in the history of time, who's alive, Rob Zombie. And remember the last iteration of the Munsters was 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Are you kidding me? They couldn't have gotten it more wrong. Their approach was, you know, the Munsters are you know, they look great, but they're horrible people, which wasn't the point of the Munsters. The Munsters was about people who looked odd, but were great people, who were just like you and me. So you got a guy who's casting these, Jeff Daniel Phillips, are you kidding me? Who else would play Herman Munster? And Sherry, this is her destiny to be Lily Munster. It's her destiny. And she is working so hard at it. So I don't get why people are carping. I just don't get it.
Do you think that comes with like I always thought, if you're in a Star Wars movie, you're automatically going to get thrown under the bus by the fan base,
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's unfortunate that there's just so much negativity, and I think people are unhappy and are having a negative experience in the world now, and they're just lashing out where they can. And really, you're going to lash. I know I shouldn't look, but it's too hard not to. You know, one guy said, this guy, meaning me, has no comedy experience whatsoever.
Oh, my God.
I thought, you know, you can insult me with a lot of things, but that's not really one of the, and then, you know, another one, doesn't Rob Zombie know there's other actors? Well, he was lucky enough to know the 3 actors who were perfect for the movie.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter if he knows other actors. We were the perfect 3 actors, and it was our 3 destinies to be in the movie. So,
you know,
I would say, if I could just say, in the world, relax, not just the Munsters, so much anger and hostility and shade. Why burn a book before you've read it? Watch it, then you can have an opinion.
I mean, Zombie has to get, and obviously it's not the Zombie interview, but with Halloween, and he puts himself out there on these projects. That
listen, he's one of the greatest directors I've ever worked with. I'm not holding back with my love and appreciation for Rob Zombie, and whether I was Grandpa Munster or not, I would have had the same conversation. The fact is, the guy is a great filmmaker. The fact is, the guy knows how to make a movie. He knows where to put the camera. He knows how to get the performances. And his films, like a Tim Burton film, have a style that few can say that you can look at the movie and go, I think this is a Rob Zombie movie because of how fantastic the stylization is of things, the cuts and what.
And he did this one scene in Devil's Rejects where I think it's the shooting of Walton Goggins. Otis is going to kill Walton Goggins' character, and
in House of a
Thank
Thousand
you. I'm sorry. Yeah, House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh yeah, and he puts the gun to the back of his head.
And it just pauses and it goes on forever. And right, and the camera pull. Oh my God! When I saw that, I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." Like to me,
you can. It's so funny that of all the things that you point out, I think that I've used that as an example too to say, and that was his first movie, and I met him by then, but he had already shot it, so there was no opportunity to be in it. But when that camera pulled up and that weight, that takes a real steady hand of a filmmaker to know how long to wait before you pull the trigger.
It was and
it was horribly real. I guess that's
okay. So that's what I try to tell people. They go, oh, that was way too long. And I go, no, what you don't understand is that's what it feels like. And I was like, that's an amazing piece of film right there to me,
Yeah, no, to have the courage to, I mean, if you really want to feel how Walter Goggins felt, what if you were, I mean, we watch the Forensic Files all the time, or any of these shows. These animals, they don't always kill people in cold blood. Sometimes they do it in cold blood, but they torture them with that weight between. Like, there's some. Anyway, let's not talk about the bad in the world. Let's talk about the good in the world. So Rob Zombie has been a good chronicler of the bad in the world because those are the movies that he made. Now, this movie is a different kind of movie without me saying what it is or what it's about or the tone of it. Like, let's say a guy as smart as him is gonna make the movie that's supposed to be made.
I agree.
And we're way ahead of 1313 Mockingbird Lane, which was an abomination.
Right.
And I'm not really worried about insulting Bryan Singer. I don't know. I don't. I don't. And by the way, as we're talking, just so you see how sentient this is, I just had, and I wish I could have shown you that. A thing came up. Have you been worried about negative thoughts? Just came up on the Apple News, and I wish I could turn that off. But this thing just heard what I said. It took it about a minute and a half to search for the information it wanted to foist on me. I'm concerned.
This is the best.
Stop watching.
Best video I've ever done. Honestly, let me tell. Let's talk about positivity. Let's move on from all the wonderful things we talk about, and I really want to talk about. We'll end on this wonderful thing, but let's talk about a channel of peace. I know that's a big thing to you, and it means a lot. And so let's tell everybody. You did a little bit earlier, but let's really focus on what is it about? What are you doing? You talked about the wholesomeness of the films, but tell us a lot about that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. So a channel of peace, people can learn more about it at a channelofpeace.org. A channelofpeace.org, and this is our pushback to all of the negativity and horror in the world. It's also my pushback to, I think, unfortunately, I think our media pushes a lot of negativity because it could, it could generate more income if it's, people want to be sad or angry. I don't really know. I don't really get it. I don't really understand that, but I'm sick of it. So I've gone back to making movies that I want to see. And so many people, when we took Getting Grace out, Jason, overwhelmingly, people would say, why are there not more movies like this? People can see Getting Grace on Amazon Prime or on Apple, our friends who are just trying to make me watch that stuff. I think people, if they see Getting Grace, they'll understand my heart and know where we're coming from. It's just, I want to make a solid, entertaining movie. It should make you laugh and it should make you think, but it shouldn't dictate to you how to think. And that's what we're really getting. We're getting a dictation of thought and an ideology that is, could be the ideology that you want to get. But I think anybody who, who propagandizes, without calling it propaganda, I'm calling it a faith-based film, so you're going to learn about faith. I'm not saying a Christian movie, by the way. I'm saying a faith-based movie. I'll tell Jewish stories when I get it. I'll tell Buddhist stories when I get it. And with no exaggeration, if I get the great Muslim story, I'll tell that story. Because I'm really interested in a person's relationship with a higher power that has a positive benefit on our society. And so, that's my criteria. And there's people of every faith who are making a difference in the world. And if I could figure out a way to tell a story of many cultures, it would give me great joy to do so. Personally, me, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic. That's who I am. But that doesn't mean that that's what I impose on anybody else. That's what I am. And I'm grateful to have the faith I have, and I'm grateful to have an opportunity to worship in the way I want to worship. But TV movies, they were trying to take God out of the world. Don't be fooled. That's the plan. Take God out. And
so your movies have an intention to bring that back.
Yeah, and it's not propaganda, because I'm telling you.
Right. It's not hidden inside. It's not a hidden message. Right.
Yeah. But it's also not, you're going to laugh at the movie. You're going to sometimes cry at the movie. Sometimes you're going to do a little both. If I did my job right in Getting Grace, we realized we had to start telling people that it was a comedy because they were afraid to laugh. Once they had the freedom to laugh, they could laugh at it. Getting Grace is about a very sweet, funny girl who's dying, who goes into a funeral home to find out what's going to happen after she dies. And this teenage girl ends up teaching the funeral director how to celebrate life. So Getting Grace is a life-affirming celebration of life, a journey of faith, and it's a comedy. Our next movie, Lucky Louie, is a mystery comedy about an old retired cop who couldn't solve a 50-year-old bank robbery. So he ends up teaming up with a forensic psychology major who's bugging him to help her figure it out, and his Bible study. It just turns out that his Bible study is 4 ex-cons that he arrested and rehabilitated. So they figure out, well, let's try to solve this crime together. And then he becomes incapacitated at one point in the story, and my character says, I was thinking about it. Why don't we just rob the bank again, and then we'll know where the money went. So it becomes, the town comes together. They all love the guy so much that they rob the bank together one more time. And it's like a turkey trot. Right? It's like a staged bank robbery that's not really a bank robbery. It's really an extraordinary fun movie. Wrote it and directed it with my daughter, Grace. It exists because we were going to make the Hail Mary, which I'll tell you about in 1 second. But this thing called COVID hit. Did you hear about that?
I did a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you got to really look, but they mention it every now and again in the news. So COVID hit. We couldn't make the Hail Mary because it was a football movie. And my daughter and I we had written before together and enjoyed it. So we decided to write this thing together. And then of course, we made it through our not-for-profit, which I do with my wife, Tammy Roebuck, and Aaron McLean is one of the other founding members. We do that. And then the last movie, and I'm very verbose here. The last movie is called The Hail Mary. And The Hail Mary is about a funny, irascible nun, a great lady who takes her faith very seriously, who finds a guy who she recognizes needs redemption. So she cons him into creating a football team for her all-boys Catholic school to lead him on his path to redemption.
A nun cons a man?
Yeah, cons him. Okay. I mean, like in her, that's the fun of the pitch. Like when you see the movie, it's the last thing he's going to do is coach a football team, and through her prodding and her machinations, he ends up doing it. It's just a glorious celebration of faith and perseverance and fatherhood, which is a kind of a underlying aspect of the stories I generally tend to tell. It's about a respect for fatherhood, which, you know, mothers get a lot of credit and they should get a lot of credit. But, you know, the friends I have who don't have dads, they do have a harder time.
Sure. So,
Yeah.
I've
just thrown so much information.
Yeah. You know, I just think it's really great. Tell us before I let you go, and it's been so great to talk to you. Tell us. I know you and I have another mutual friend, John Lohman, and I know you have Campfire coming up. What else are you allowed? Do you want to promote? Is there anything else you want to
Yeah,
mention?
we've got Colonials is coming out this year, I think. A Channel of Peace has a lot of surprises coming. We're going to start working on a documentary called The Lost Art of Forgiving. Because in this day and age, people have just stopped forgiving each other. Isn't that sad? So we're gonna work on that. Munsters, of course, Rob says will be out this year. It's going to be a fantastic movie. People will love it. I'm telling you. He's incapable of not doing a great job. You know, that's it. I'd invite people to go to our website. I think it's in the thing there, but it's a channelofpeace.org. If they want to be part of this mission, you know, it's completely done. It is a not-for-profit in the truest sense. I write, direct, produce, act. My daughter the same, my wife the same, everybody else on the board the same. No money is exchanged. We take no money. We do it all for free. And we do it with the good graces and donations of corporate sponsors and people who give us gifts. And every dollar is up on the screen, that I can tell you. And, you know, I contribute too, as you can imagine. And then, you know, I'm not working on other movies when I'm making my movies. So we do the best we can anyway. I would welcome anybody who would be interested in helping us do that. Please feel free to do so.
There you have it, folks. Daniel, it has been my honor to get to talk to you, man. Yeah, you have no idea. It really means a lot to me. Thank you for everything you're doing, for your contributions to Hollywood, for taking time out of your day for me today for our show.
This is what we're supposed to be doing. You know, we're supposed to be we're just supposed to be making the world a little better however we can. You asked a favor, why not give you a favor? You seem like a very nice guy, by the way. I think at some point, John, why don't you cast us as two guys who look alike? I think we look alike.
You heard it right there, folks. Daniel Roebuck said cast me.
You could be my little brother. I know if my little brother's watching, he's like, I'm your little brother. But we'll figure it out. One of us will either stand in a ditch and the other one on a box, or vice versa.
You know, that happens to me. They cut me out of scenes because I'm way bigger than the other people.
Yeah, you have to learn how to go, my guy sits in this scene. That's how you stay in the scene. That's my advice to you as a director. And it's always funny, actors, when I'm on a set with actors who are younger, they're always like, yeah, my guy's going to move here, and my guy's going to do this, and my guy's going to do that. Now, I know it's a 7-page scene that we're going to be shooting all day. I always say, my guy's sitting. Yeah, my guy's going to sit. This is the most comfortable chair. My guy's going to sit here. And then when they're, you know, I don't go to the trailer. Sometimes I just take a nap. When we were finishing Dr. Shocker's House of Horror, I was literally editing with David Hansen Sturm all night long at Vault of Horror. I was editing all night long, and I was shooting a very great movie called Soaked in Bleach during the day. And I mean, it was 48 hours without sleeping to be ready for the premiere at the Chinese Theater. And I literally did that. I would just fall asleep on the set, and somebody would wake me up, and I'd say, tell me about Kurt. Tell me about Kurt, you know. And that's how we did.
That's a side of acting people don't know. That there's a lot of that where you're sitting there and you're falling asleep in the chair. And, you know, I always think to myself, oh, man, thank God I'm the actor that's sitting down, because that guy has to stand there for a heck of long.
Yeah. You know, okay, we're like, oh, we don't have a stand-in, Bob. You know, Jason, could you just stand there?
Oh, I always have to be my own stand-in because they don't have anybody tall enough. I'm always my own stand-in.
Dude, go to a place. I wish I could remember. My buddy makes apple boxes. Go buy an apple box, take it, put it in your car, and when they say we don't have anybody, you bring out the apple box and go, Anybody can stand on this and be 6'4".
And
All you have to be is 5'5", and you'll be
you're the right height. There you go.
Yeah, I would invest in one apple box and maybe a half apple, or get one of those stacking.
One of the ones that foot comes in and out of it, right? It's all one box until you slide them out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, just have that in the car and be like, no, by the way, I got one of those in my car. Because if you're on a set and they don't have an apple box, then you're not really on a set.
No, you're not.
You're
Not kidding. Yeah, there has to be an apple crate,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Daniel, thank you so much. Guys, we'll see you next
God
week.
bless you. And how many people watched? 13?
Well, at the moment, we have 14.
One's your wife, one's my wife.
We have hundreds that watch, but they just don't all tune in on a Thursday.
All right.
You know.
So to the 11 who aren't married to us, thank you for paying attention. And God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Daniel Roebuck, I can't get any better than that. You guys, we'll see you next week. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zlatkus. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.